I have 5 minutes between sessions, and if I don't share what's in my mind in the moment, it'll be gone. So if you put any living creature, a sea anemone, a hermit crab, a lobster, a fern, a human being, in a toxic environment, they will respond in a self-preservative way that is meant to protect them. So if you put any living creature in a toxic environment where they feel threatened, that living creature will pull inward. It will try to protect itself. It will try to keep itself safe. We live in a world, all of us have been raised in a world where we have been convinced that our natural emotional responses and our natural instincts and our natural intuition is some form of pathology, rather than we are having a natural, self-preservative, protective response to the fact that we are living in an environment that preys upon us. I think what we're all collectively dealing with right now, if I cut through all the bullshit, I look on social media, everyone has a story about why the world is the way it is and what we ought to do about it. And I don't want to be an armchair expert. I don't want to project another story about what's happening in the world or what we ought to do about it. I'm just tending to the part of the garden that I can touch and sharing what I experience and what I know in hopes that it'll be somewhat useful. So all of us have been raised in a world where when you experience something like depression, you are convinced that there must be something idiosyncratically wrong with you. Or when you experience anxiety, there must be something wrong with you. Instead of, your body is trying to protect you from the toxic environment that you're navigating. And I think what we're all collectively waking up to more and more is that it is not an accident that the systems of power, that the entities of power, and the systems that we are forced to participate in, the industries that we are forced to participate in, it's not an accident that they're designed to prey upon us. We are their supply. We are their fuel. We are a commodity to them. That is not cynical. That is not irrational. That is a logical, objective, rational observation of the world that we are living in. And it's more and more and more obvious to us. And so part of our collective healing, part of the work I get to do individually with clients, I just had this conversation with a client, is what if you woke up one day and you recognize that there was never anything wrong with you, that you were fine from the beginning. You were always actually okay. There was nothing wrong with your emotions. There was nothing wrong with your intuition. It's that when you experienced natural emotion, natural intuition, when you tried to set natural boundaries for yourself, you were judged or you were punished or you were diminished or you were gaslighted. Unfortunately, we all do that to each other to an extent in this generational story, in this generational trauma. We all are acting out our shit to an extent. So unfortunately, those people who were our caregivers or our teachers or our priests or our pastors or our mentors in some ways, maybe they didn't have the best information and maybe they were doing the best they could with what they had. But unfortunately, maybe all of us got punished and pathologized for trying to say, ouch, please stop, for trying to ask for help, for trying to express our natural God-given instincts and emotions and intuition. So what's happening right now collectively, what I'm observing across the board, is that our collective awareness is expanding. And in the expansion of that awareness, we're doing what we have idealistically been taught to do, which is, I need to do something about it. We got to do something about this. We need to get our pitchforks and we need to march on Washington and we got to do something about that. However, we're all looking out there at each other and no one's doing that. And everyone's afraid of the repercussions of doing something like that. And so we all fall into this thing we call learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is when you are experiencing pain, you are experiencing suffering, but there's nothing you can do about it, or at least you perceive that there is nothing you can do about it. And then our natural response is depression. Depression is a natural response to the perception or the experience that you are under threat, but that there's nothing you can do about it. Again, you put any creature on the planet, any living creature, any living being in a threatening environment, and it will do everything it can to keep itself safe. It will do everything it can to preserve itself. That includes pulling inward. It includes hiding under a rock. It includes hiding in the shadows. In the context of being a human being, it includes denial, depression, anxiety, suppressing our natural thoughts, suppressing our natural emotions in the name of survival. We have all been deluded into believing that instead of the fact that we are having natural responses to adapting to a toxic and threatening environment, we have been told that we have individual problems, that there must be something wrong with you as an individual. You have depression, you have anxiety, you have a disorder, and that if you just took the right medication, if you just figured your own shit out, then maybe you wouldn't be such a problem in the world and you would be fine. Because the message from our industries that prey upon us is that the world is fine. You're the one with the problem. Do you know what that is? It is exactly what an abusive home looks like. It is exactly how a narcissistic, abusive relationship works. I'm fine. There's nothing wrong with me. I am a self-righteous, authoritarian person that needs the world to revolve around me. And if you would just change yourself and adapt yourself and just listen to me, everything would be okay. That is the world we're living in. Your natural emotional responses, your natural disgust, your natural alarm, your natural rage to what you are witnessing in the world right now is being called a threat, a pathology. It is a threat to that authoritarian institution. So they make it a pathology. They gaslight you, they deny you, they deflect, they avoid. A message I've been sharing over and over again is you are never going to get angry enough or sad enough or loud enough or justified enough to convince the sadistically narcissistic or authoritarian abusers of the world to somehow change their mind, to somehow find Jesus, to somehow find love or compassion. They are not going to, because the ones that are causing the most damage are consciously, not unconsciously, they are consciously abusive. They are consciously manipulating. They feed upon us. Physically, emotionally, energetically, spiritually, psychologically, we are a source of sustenance for them. So we got to grow through this abusive relationship. We have to stop pathologizing ourselves and each other. We need to start recognizing that our depression is a natural response to trying to navigate a world where with our increasing awareness, we are perceiving sickness and depravity and insidious behavior everywhere. We are aware that we are at the mercy of systems and institutions of power that are preying upon us. So suddenly with our newfound consciousness, we are alarmed and we're demanding change, but then we feel helpless and hopeless and depressed because we don't see doing anything about it. This is all part of a stage of growth. This is all part of the stages you need to go through and grow through in order to get to a place where you can navigate this environment as a warrior, as a spiritual warrior, where you can be at once radically accepting of the world that you are living in, and you can meet it where it's at, and you can face it where it's at, and you can objectively observe and accept the landscape that you are navigating, including all the monsters in that landscape. But you can rise to that occasion, and instead of gaslighting yourself, instead of thinking you have some pathology, instead of falling into that chronic depression, you can consistently set boundaries. You can consistently share your voice. You can be a witness to suffering. You can relentlessly choose to practice every day in a way that allows you to be proactive and healthy and compassionate. And you can lock arms with your friends and neighbors in that practice. And in doing so, we can patiently and diligently and proactively truly change the world. There's a whole bunch more I'd like to say, but I hope there's some nuggets in there that make sense.